advice on that. I'm gonna.
Like I said, it can't do any harm.
Right,
it can only do good. If
Right.
it doesn't do anything, it doesn't do anything. Then you just
Correct.
get a tasty drink in the morning. So it's definitely worth a shot and giving it
Yeah.
at least a few weeks to see what happens with that.
Thank you, sir.
Over there, I have kind of outside the box Super Bowl takes. I have new head coaches plus Bieniemy.
Yep.
I have some like free agent quarterback stuff here.
Okay.
Plus like Lamar and Daniel Jones in there. I have a Tua Tagovailoa story. I don't know if you read this one today.
No.
It's fucking unbelievable. I'll save it. I'll tell you once we get to it. NBA All-Star Weekend, and we're done. Oh man.
My last 90.
And your last 99. I know. Yeah, we're getting some. We're getting something again. All right, I think I got you back now, right?
Yeah.
No.
I feel like I'm not gonna move. I feel like I'm just gonna.
Yeah, but when you don't move, then I think the screen is frozen. Do you want to do it from your phone? You want to do it from your phone instead?
What?
You want to do it from your phone?
Not necessarily.
Just because there's a lot of you think so?
Is there a static going on right now? Still?
Yeah, you're. It's a hot mess.
Yeah, there's a major.
A lot of lagging. I got nothing.
Worse because it's like.
I got nothing. Totally frozen.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna try my work computer.
Okay.
You got me?
I got you.
All right. Give me a minute.
Now you're frozen again.
Fuck.
We'll be all right. We'll get it. Sooner or later. What's up? Oh, okay. You know where the Clippers are? Yeah. Okay. We're about to start, I hope, if he can get his computer issues straightened out. Hey there, Bob. Scotty's having some technical difficulties, so he's going to try to use a different computer. Technology. Although we couldn't do this without technology, so, you know. I'm going to stop this. Yeah, we'll get him on here in a minute. Oh, you're the computer guy that's going to fix it for him. He needs a little help over there. Mine isn't the best either, if I'm being honest. So I'm assuming it's his. It looks like mine's kind of working. I don't know. He was just switching computers, so Should be any second. Unless, of course, it is the Wi-Fi signal blows. That's a possibility. I don't think that's much the issue these days anymore. Tech weenie, love it. Never enough of those. See if he's doing all right. Whoa, you guys are definitely in demand. There's no doubt about that. No shortage of jobs. I was just down in Florida this past weekend, and for my nephew's wedding, and he does similar stuff, a little bit more on the wiring end and stuff like that. But he's always been a techie, and God, it's a never-ending list of jobs that he has to do. How we doing now?
How am I looking?
You sound fantastic.
Bobby Mack.
He's been keeping me busy.
That's what he does. If he does anything, he keeps you busy.
He said he's gonna have to get over there and help you clean up your act.
It must be my computer because this one's like fucking tits.
Seems like it's okay. All right, I'm gonna hit record. And once this gets fired up, we can start this again. We'll just get right to it, okay?
Sorry, brother. Yep.
No, not at all.
Oh, I just saw your text. Yeah, it takes a minute.
That's why I was wondering is if it's your Wi-Fi, but this computer seems to be working a lot better.
There's a lot of bells and whistles going on over here.
Oh my goodness. Got to get Bob over there. All right, here we go. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colasano, joined as always by my tech-savvy friend, Scott Bracey. What's going on, dude?
Peter, I apologize. What a fucking disaster start here. After a week off.
A couple hiccups. Yeah, 1 week off, and we don't even know how to do this anymore.
Really know how to turn on the computer, it seems like.
It's unbelievable. So, did you enjoy your week off?
Not really. How about you?
I had a nice trip. I went to Florida. The weirdest thing about going to Florida in the winter is that you forget it's the winter. Like I'm down there, and by like 10 o'clock, it's 80 degrees, and you're like, you forget it's February. You know what I mean? And I'm like, Oh my God, can I get used to this or what? Like, right. No problem, right? But glad to be home and talking about the Super Bowl. We didn't, I think it was a good thing that we took off last week because I'm sure everybody was hearing like all the generic takes that you get on TV and on radio, the same shit for like 5 straight days. So why don't we start off with the same shit, I guess we'll say, like general takeaway from the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Kansas City wins 38-35. I thought both quarterbacks were great. Very tough, both of them banged up down the stretch. You know what's funny about Jalen Hurts too, bro? Like his fumble was enormous, like
huge.
And you know what? He's not really even getting killed from it because he played so well. Like other than that,
well, there's that, and then they also took a 10-point lead after that.
Yeah, true.
You know what's like now? Granted, you can look and say it could have been 17-7 or 21-7, but okay, it's 14-14. But then they went and made it 24-14.
Right.
Well, it's not like that was the end of the world. You know what I mean? It's not like that turned the game, and then the game was never the same. They kept rolling after that, frankly, for a while.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, the problem was not Jalen Hurts in this game. The problem was clearly the Philly defense, especially in the second half. And however much of it was Philly defense, I would make the argument that I know people, Mahomes gets the MVP, and it's all about the quarterback, and definitely he played so much better in the second half. Had one incompletion, and that was really a ball that he threw away on purpose. But this is where I say, like, I have a little bit of different take on this Super Bowl. I really much more look at this as the Andy Reid Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And there was 3 plays in particular that, that showed to be the case. 2 of them were the same play, just on opposite sides of the formation. And one of them was a special teams play. So I'm going to try to for the people listening, I'm going to try to describe the play as best I can without like showing video. You may have seen it, but I don't know how well it was described. So there's a play on a goal line, not on a goal line, but like on a 5-yard line. And a guy comes in motion for Kansas City, like outside coming in, and it's fast motion. So this is important. This is an important point, because if it's slow motion, then the shift that the defense makes doesn't matter. But if this is fast motion, makes it look like he's going all the way across the formation. And the way that the Eagles rotated, or way that the Eagles adjusted to it, was to rotate the play side, the motion side corner back to safety, and have the safety come up on what would be the opposite side where the motion man is going to, which is a very efficient way to adjust to that kind of motion. And the reason you would do that is because what do teams like to do? This is important. This is what you didn't hear on a lot of the TV shows like ESPN and stuff like that. They didn't tell you why would Philly do that? Okay. Well, here's the reason why Philly would do that. A lot of times what you see teams do is they send that guy, especially down towards the goal line. You don't need a lot of yards here. We just need to get the ball in someone's hands and score. So what you like to do is you send a guy in very fast motion, because usually inside the 5-yard line, teams are playing man-to-man. So you're going to see a guy sprinting across, a defender sprinting across with that motion man, but he's always behind him, because you don't go until the guy goes in motion. So you're always like 2 steps behind him. And then if that guy runs just like a quick little flat route, you're 2 steps behind him. Mahomes throws him the ball, and boom, he probably scores. It's really hard to cover. God forbid you have someone on that side, an offensive receiver on that side, like almost like setting a pick or making it even harder to catch. So the way you adjust to that, the way you stop that is you send, so the cornerback who's playing man on the motion receiver, send him back deep to safety, and have the safety who's kind of already on that side step up and be ready for that flat route. They probably did that because they saw Kansas City likes to run that flat route off of the speed motion. Okay. So Kansas City runs that, and Eagles stop it. Next play, what we see is a wide open receiver, and we're like, how the hell did he get wide open? What Kansas City did was just put that same guy in fast motion. Philly does that rotation, cornerback to safety up to play side, take that flat route away. But instead, the receiver puts on the brakes, plants his foot in the ground, turns right back around to that side, and goes back on the flat on the side he was coming from motion, and is wide open. Why? Because that corner went back to play safety. They ran a play first. It got stopped. That was the adjustment. Touchdown. Next series, Philly gets the ball. Kansas City stops them. Philly has to punt. You never see this in the NFL anymore. Kansas City runs a wall. I mean, you don't see teams, even in high school. The high school is like the last level that you see a punt return wall, a wall set up on the punt return. Why? Because in the NFL and now in college also, they don't use like offensive linemen anymore or like bigger guys to cover punts. They're using linebackers and
backup safeties and
and they're fast. You can't run a wall because those guys get down there too fast for the wall. Kansas City saw something, and they set up a goddamn wall, and they take the ball all the way down what would be their right side sideline, all the way down to, again, inside the 10-yard line. And then they do the exact same thing on the other side. They run speed motion. Philly does that rotation, cornerback to safety up to opposite side corner. The play goes nowhere. They run it again with the motion. He jams on the brakes, quick out, and there's nobody there. And I'm like, oh my God. In like a 6-play stretch, a 5-play stretch, Andy Reid won the game. It could have been me throwing that ball. Those guys were beyond open. And you're talking about one of the best defenses in the league. And, once you get to the playoffs, we say this all the time, you're playing some of the best. And these guys are game planning their balls off, which is probably why, I know I'm rambling on here, but is why Eagles were doing that defense. But then Kansas City makes the other adjustment. Like, you're going to do that? This is the brilliance. This is Andy Reid. And that's why, to me, like, I looked at it as like, you're just seeing Mahomes making plays. And he did. I'm not saying he didn't. But like you said, so did Jalen Hurts. It was these small coaching differences that made all the difference in the world and made them able to win this game. That's where I was going with this.
Yeah, Kansas City line, amazing. You could say they won the
Oh,
game
forget it.
too. Isaiah Pacheco, man, real deal. What a steal. We talked about him going into the game. Unbelievable game.
Yeah, I got lucky with that one. I called that one. I said, "Do you
Yeah.
see Pacheco could be a big difference maker in this
Just
game?"
another weapon in that game. And listen, last one for me. We can move on to what you want to do from a fun perspective. Philly's got some talent coming back, but they got some major cap issues on the defensive side of the ball.
They got some cap issues in general because you're going to have to pay Jalen Hurts. They have about, I think it's 9 starters that are going to be potentially free agents.
Yeah.
And you're a Super Bowl team, so those guys are going to expect to get paid, and you're not going to be able to pay them all. So that's going to play interesting into something you wanted to talk about, which are next year's top 5. There was one other thing I wanted to say. What was interesting is that the game started out exactly how you and I both said it would. Kansas City couldn't keep the ball because they got some pressure on and their coverage was good. And Kansas City also never had the ball because Philly was running the ball really well. Jalen Hurts was running it well. He was throwing it well. Like, they kept possession of the ball. And what is fascinating, this is what I mean by coaching. That script totally flipped in the second half. Suddenly, the Eagles weren't running the ball. Kansas City was running the ball, and they were doing some play action stuff. To me, that the end, it was, players have to make plays, okay? So that has to be a given. And anytime an NFL team wins a game, that means players made plays. You can't just give me bad players with good coaching and you're going to go win a Super Bowl. Doesn't work that way.
Right. So
the players making plays is a given. That's why a guy like Mahomes gets the MVP. But it was the adjustments by the coaches, and I include Steve Spagnuolo in that, making adjustments in the second half to stop Philly from running the ball so damn effectively. That was the big thing to me. So.
Yeah,
anyway, it was if nothing else, it was a fascinating game. This was a great watch. This was not like no one was disappointed. I will tell you what was funny. I couldn't remember all of my prop bets, but I know I hit at least like 3 of them.
Yeah, I think I hit one.
I had one that was like, will the Eagles score in every quarter? That was a winner.
Let me see.
I had first touchdown inside 6.5 yards.
I didn't write yours down.
Yeah, I had first touchdown inside, over and under 6.5 yards, and it was under because whoever it was it the Eagles?
Hurts ran it in 3 times anyway.
Yeah, right.
He hit it 3 times.
I definitely hit on the 4th down. Like, will there be over and under 1.5 4th downs? That was definitely. I had over.
Yeah,
that was
nice
definitely a winner.
That was a nice one.
I can't remember what the hell else I had, but anyway, it was a good day for that. It was a lot of fun.
Good.
Did you want to talk about next year a little bit here? Make our way too early predictions.
Yeah, I have a top 5 going into 2023 here, sir.
Now, we certainly have to qualify this by saying we haven't gone through free agency. We haven't gone through the draft. This is kind of just this is what the vibe I'm getting off this season and what I'm expecting next season. Okay,
and there's going to be a shocker in there. That always happens that way.
I might have one of those for you. I don't think you'd be terribly surprised by the rest.
I'm pretty chalky. Just my order might be a little different for you. At number 5, I got the Eagles. Cap problems, defensive free agents, and age I got for them. Number 4, I got the Buffalo Bills. Good team, but they continue to run out of gas late. Need a running game.
What was your 5?
Eagles.
Okay.
4 Bills. They need a running game. Save Josh Allen.
That's a fact.
They need Von Miller to stay healthy. Because when you said it when he went down, that changed the whole kind of.
Did you hear the rumors this week with Buffalo? Who like the rumors
Saquon?
were them? No. Well, I did hear that, but I don't see that happening. Derrick Henry, because there's always like a fire sale going on.
Ooh.
And what's the Belichick way? Get rid of a guy 1 year before he's out of his prime, right?
Yep.
So you get maximum value.
And who did Vrabel play for?
Thank you.
Number 3, I got the Cincinnati Bengals. They kept both coordinators. Nobody making big money yet. And Joe Burrow's elite.
Yes.
Number 2, I got the San Francisco 49ers. Is it going to be Purdy? Is it going to be Purdy? Is it going to be Lance? The team is stacked around him. Defensive coordinator change, so we'll see how that goes. But I think they could.
I think they'll be fine with that because
I agree.
The talent on that side of the ball is.
And number 1, dude, I got the Chiefs. All I got to say is Reed and Mahomes.
Yeah, so I'll start at the top with that one before I get to anything else. I agree with you 100%. That is as close to Belichick, Brady as there is, and maybe ever was. And as long as those two are together, Andy Reid is not a young guy, but he sure didn't sound like, and he was asked the following day, like, what's your future look like? And he's like, I'm enjoying myself. I got that guy over there. I'm not even thinking about that. So he sure looks like he's having fun. I don't know if he's a stress-free guy, but he looks relatively stress-free, or at the very least, it looks like he's learned how to handle the stress of being an NFL coach. And it doesn't hurt that you got one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Right.
I will also say this. Andy Reid has to be in the top 5 of greatest coaches of all time. He has to be in the discussion of top 5. There's a bunch. There's a handful of them. But the guy has done it at such a high level for so long. It's
in both conferences.
It's hard to even comprehend how successful he's been. So yeah, that's my number 1. But I'll go back to number 5. My number 5 is the Rams. I just think, with all the talk over the last 2 years of McVay kind of packing it in, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know how much longer this guy wants to coach the Rams. So I don't know.
Right.
I think there's some kind of, fatigue going on there. With that said, you still have Stafford. You still have some of these guys. I think they make one more run. I think they make one more run in free agency, see what they can do. I think they make one more run coming up this season. And I think the Rams are there at number 5. Now, what's interesting, I don't have San Fran in my top 5. I agree with every single thing you said. I just don't know who their quarterback is.
Yeah.
And I do worry as much as I like Brock Purdy and I like what he did, I think he is limited. And I think you give these defensive coordinators 6-7 months to watch that kind of film off of those 7-8 games, whatever it was, and they're going to put some packages together. They're going to force him to do something that he doesn't like to do. So we'll see. I'm rooting for him, so I hope it's him doing well. But that's the only reason I don't have San Francisco in there. I still think they're maybe the most talented overall team in the whole league. My number 4 team, you might be a little surprised here. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I think Detroit, they have more draft capital this year. By the end of this season, they were believing in themselves as much as anybody in the league believed in themselves. For them to go into Green Bay in that last game, on the road, cold, Aaron Rodgers fighting for a playoff position, and win that game, and Jared Goff play well in the cold, one of, if not the best offensive lines in the league. They have a lot of draft capital moving forward. They're still getting draft capital from the Rams for the whole Stafford deal. They've done a really good job over the last 2 years with the draft and their new GM and head coach. I think there's a lot of momentum there. I could really see them winning that division next year. It wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, that's kind of what I'm predicting when I say this. Again, this is before anything happens, so we'll see. But I think the Detroit Lions are poised for a really big move last year. That's my shocker moving forward. Number 3, I do have Buffalo. For the same reasons that you were saying, there's some things that they have to shore up. It can't just be the Josh Allen show. They have to come up with more. The other side of it is, I don't know how great that defense is. You make a great point. Von Miller going down fucked them bad.
Yeah.
That just screwed them bad because that was their one real specialist on defense that got after.
That was their closer, dude.
Because it was a bunch of good players. It's a bunch of good players on defense, and then this one specialist, you know, like you said, a closer. And with him gone, it just changed everything. So things could have been different for them. Maybe things would have been different against Cincinnati. Maybe things would have been different, whatever, moving forward. Maybe he could have gotten pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Because that's where he struggled when they played Tampa that year. So that hurt them a lot. But until they make some other changes on offense, shore up that offensive line, get a running game for Christ's sake, at least some kind of running game, no good. And Kansas City's still at number 1. So, but there is many a slip twixt a cup and a lip. There's much to come in this offseason. We'll be talking about a lot of it, always the fun stuff. So
I like your Lion pick. You got no argument out of me there, sir. You know that.
We'll be rooting for that. I know we'll both be rooting for it. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting. You mentioned you wanted to talk about a couple of these new head coaches.
We have finally locked down every team with a coach. It's called the Eagles scrap heap, maybe, whatever you want to say, Eagle farm system. the Arizona Cardinals hired Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles defensive coordinator.
Right.
Great year. Really bad Super Bowl. And I think Arizona maybe ran out of options here.
I think that had a lot to do with this hiring. We heard multiple sources talking about the fact that their, coaches really weren't interested in this job. And you and I both said it's probably going to end up having to be some younger coach that's looking for his first opportunity. What I will say that was smart, and this is like, I don't necessarily love the idea of hiring defensive coaches in the league as it's set up right now. I like offensive coaches. I think Buffalo is a
exception to the rule.
Well, no, I think it's a story that tells the problem here. You have a defensive head coach.
Oh.
And you had a really hot offensive coordinator. And as soon as you lose that hot offensive coordinator to a head coach, you don't have the same guy. Whereas if you have an offensive head coach, that relationship with the quarterback stays until that coach gets fired. You know what I mean? With your head offensive play caller, that relationship stays there. Andy Reid, there was Nagy before, there was Bieniemy. They're both gone. Nobody cares because Andy Reid is still there with Patrick Mahomes. So whoever Gannon hires as his offensive coordinator, maybe he'll do a great job, but then he'll get a head coaching job, and now you're searching again and you're stuck. Yep. And that is the problem because it all ends up coming down to your quarterback. But what I will say was very smart by Gannon. All he's been talking about since he got the job is he's buying in totally to Kyler Murray. Now, I don't particularly like Kyler Murray, and I would, but if you're taking this job, that's what you have to do. You're sending the message to him that you're our man. We're with you. You're the engine that makes this bus go, which is smart because there's no other way. There's no other way. And it sends a message to the rest of the team saying, this is our guy. Jump on board or get the fuck out of here, right. And to free agents. Like, this is what we're doing. Everything we do is going to center around him. We're going to maximize his potential. I think that's smart. I wouldn't want to have to do it, but I just think if you're going to take this job, that's the smart approach to take. So when I heard that, I'm like, okay, that's some smart psychology right there. I'm already kind of like interested to see what happens with this guy.
Indianapolis Colts hire Eagles offensive coordinator Shane Steichen. Really good year again. Needs a quarterback, but I don't think it's a bad job. The AFC South stinks. Titans are dumping guys left and right.
Oh, my God.
Colts are, again, they have a lot of talent on defense. Jonathan Taylor can maybe come back healthy. They need another weapon or two. Their offensive line was supposed to be top 5 in the league. They were awful last year, which led to a lot of problems.
I don't know that the Colts are as close as you're saying. I might disagree with you on this one. I thought that a year ago.
I'm not saying close. I'm just saying in a winnable division because
the division, although Jacksonville looks to be now, which is so funny.
They look like the king. Yeah,
they're the class of that division.
Yeah,
but they need a quarterback for sure. This is a big problem. They need some wide receivers. That offensive line was not good last year, which is what we both thought was kind of their strength. Like they were going to be able to run it with a good offensive line. It wasn't that good. I'm not sure. What's so funny is I think this would have been a better hire for Arizona. Like get the guy in there who's an offensive coach right away with Kyler Murray. But anyway, that's not the case. They need a quarterback. First and foremost, they need a quarterback. Everything we're hearing out there is they're willing to make moves. I mean, shit, not even everything you're hearing. GM flat out said, or maybe it was the owner also, that we're willing to move up in the draft. We're willing to do what we have to do. That was what it was. We're willing to do what we have to do to get a starting quarterback, to get a, not just a 1-year, 2-year fix, a starting quarterback moving forward. It all starts with that. So let me ask you something. Think Jeff Saturday continues coaching? Now, I don't mean with the Colts. Do you think he wants to stay in coaching or does he go back into the booth with ESPN?
My gut tells me back into the studio.
You think anybody else would be interested in him? Like even as an assistant?
No,
right? I don't either. It was an interesting experiment. I wish it would have gone differently, but it didn't. And I think that's probably the end of it.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
He doesn't blow that Viking game. Does things change?
Well, yes, because once you change one thing like that, everything changes. And momentum is a bitch.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's
34-0 or whatever the score is. Oh,
30, yeah, it was like 34-7, 34-3, whatever the hell it was.
Oh my god.
That's a rough one, dude. I think I said to you at that when we went over that game, I think I said to you, in the first half of that game, they're trying to figure out how to sign this guy to an extension.
Yeah.
And by the end of that game, they're like, we got to get rid of this guy so that we can find someone who can win football games. That was as bad as it gets.
Yeah, that's bad.
That was as bad as it gets. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all. I was curious about the Jeff Saturday thing. I think that experience is probably over. Hey, not a head coaching job, but of course, there's always controversy around this, and I'm going to add a little something to it that nobody talked about. But Eric Bieniemy did not get a head coaching job again. I thought what was fascinating this week was that LaShawn McCoy, who played for him, not long. He didn't play for him very long. I think it was the one season.
Yeah.
Just the one season. But he played for him. And he's out there saying, I don't know what y'all talking about. He's like, I've seen nothing. I was there, and I've seen nothing that would garner this guy being a head coach. Everybody knows that this offense is because of Andy Reid. End of story.
Well, two things there. One, McCoy is an Andy Reid guy with Philly.
So
and number two, there's a reason why this guy, every team that interviews him says no thanks.
Well, that's part of what I'm saying. I'm like,
yeah.
I love when people say, well, Keyshawn Johnson, who's got brilliant analysis, when he said, well, Nagy got a job. Why can't he was doing the same thing as Bieniemy? And I'm like, yeah, how did that turn out?
Oh, Keyshawn.
That's you're making everyone else's point. Everyone's looking and saying, why would you hire someone when it's Andy Reid? It's not
the only
one
that worked out was Doug Peterson.
Right. And the other thing is, of course, it's like because he's a black coach and they want to get a black coach a head coaching job. And I understand that side of it. But he has interviewed with teams that then went on to hire other black coaches. So are they all racist? Are all these teams racist when half of them he's interviewed with over a dozen different teams, over 15 different teams? They're all racist, even though some of them hired black head coaches? Isn't it possible? Isn't it just possible that he doesn't interview well and teams are a little leery? Now, I am willing to admit that familiarity. It's not racism, but familiarity. Like if you're not familiar, I've never been in a room with Eric Bieniemy, so I have no idea what his voice even sounds like. But familiarity can absolutely play a part of it. But I also think, just like coaches talk, GMs talk, and owners talk. And when an owner calls another owner or a GM calls another GM and says, hey, did you interview this guy? How did it go? What did you think? And as he hasn't gotten jobs in multiple spots, I don't know that phone call goes very well for Eric Bieniemy. So what's interesting, I would not have done this if I was him, but I understand why he did it. He ends up taking the offensive coordinator / assistant head coaching job with the Washington Commanders. This is a bold move, and I absolutely applaud him for making the move because he's betting on himself. He's saying, I'm gonna go out and show everybody and we'll let it ride. The problem is you're leaving Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes for Ron Rivera and probably like Sam Howell. It's like, then he does this, and now the excuses are built in both ways. The reason's going to be built in both ways. See, he couldn't, take a team and do well. And the other side is going to say, yeah, but now he doesn't have Patrick Mahomes. Well, no shit and no shit. Like, no shit to both of those. Like, yeah, he doesn't have the same talent, and no shit, he doesn't have Andy Reid. So I don't know. Would you have done this? Got to think about this for a second. Like, you want to raise your own.
I wouldn't mind leaving to do my own thing and prove myself. That's not the game.
Not that one.
That's not
okay.
The
so
game.
you don't mind. You don't necessarily hate the idea of leaving. To go
set
your own path.
No, I don't mind that. I would almost rather him join the guy with the Colts.
Or even Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona would have been interesting, right? That would have been interesting because that's a defensive coach. Yeah.
Or how about joining Frank Wright in Carolina or something like that? Like
could have been interesting.
Because a good offensive mind.
But
like
see,
Andy Reid,
the problem
I know
with
he wants
Frank
to get away
Reich,
from that. I know.
yes,
I know.
that's
I
what I
know.
was saying. The
I know.
problem
You're
with
right.
Frank Reich is that is another offensive guy, and he'll take the credit. He had to go somewhere with a defensive coordinator. I mean, with a defensive head coach.
I just looked up the enemy's Wikipedia. I thought he was the head coach of Colorado. He was only the OC there 1 year.
I thought he was the head coach.
Yeah, he was not.
He was there for 2 years.
Oh, 2 years. Yeah, you're right.
And they went from a bad offense to the second year was a worse offense, which doesn't bode well. That doesn't look good.
And then Andy Reid hired him. No, was it? No, I guess Andy Reid wasn't there in 13, right? Not yet.
No.
So I guess that was who?
Was it in Kansas City?
Yeah, in 13.
He got hired right to Kansas City.
He went right to Kansas City, and then Andy Reid.
Who was the head coach?
No, it wasn't
That's
Herm.
a good question. It wasn't Herm?
No, Herm was, let's say, Chiefs.
That's a good question.
Dude, I'm drawing a blank here.
Was it Hackett? Paul Hackett?
No. I don't want to be here all day, but I really think I can get this, but I don't want to.
It's not a good podcast when we're not saying anything.
No. Holy Christ. I wouldn't have got this.
Who was it?
Romeo Crennel.
Oh, shit.
Todd Haley before him.
Ooh.
And then Herm. Wow. Andy Reid did hire him in 13, dude.
He's been there for 10 years?
Oh, my God.
No, come on.
That's
9
right
years?
Here. 13, yep.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
I didn't think it was that long.
Oh, we did hire Bieniemy. That makes sense then. Because
So who was his first starting quarterback? It wasn't Alex.
No.
What the hell is it? Alex Smith? Couldn't have been.
Who the hell
Because he was only there for like 2 years, right? Year or 2 years?
Oh, my God. Was it Elvis Gerback? No.
I don't know. We'll have to look this up.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, I found that interesting. I thought it was a ballsy move, and I commend him for that, for betting on himself. God bless him, and I hope it works out for him. I just think it's really risky. I'll agree with you on this one with where he went. I would have been a little more judicious with where I go. I don't know. I got a bad feeling about this. It was Alex Smith? Yep. Must have had him for a few years.
He did.
Made the playoffs like every year, right?
Jamal Charles at running back. That guy was a fucking monster for a couple years. Oh. All right.
Anyway. You mentioned Tennessee. I just want to throw this out there. Tyler Lewan got cut.
I know.
It's only been playing for what, 8 years? 8 or 9? It's 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think 9. Yeah, because he played under Brady Hoke at Michigan, and that was a while back. So
that's got to be a hot item, don't you think? I'd have to look up his PFF grade.
He's been banged up last 2 years. He missed all the last year with an ACL. He's not sure if he wants to keep going, but
really,
he's rehabbed. So he's like, I think I want to keep going. But listen, somebody's going to take a swing. I mean,
of course, and I'm not just saying this as a fan. I think the Jets are interested in an offensive tackle, so that would be interesting. Hey, I just want to throw out the idea that free agent market for quarterbacks. I mean, the free agent market is heating up in general, but like obviously everybody's trying to get that marquee piece at quarterback. Jets, Saints, Panthers, Houston, Colts, Atlanta. Anybody else I can think of? You know, you can put the Giants on that list because they technically don't have Daniel Jones. You could put Baltimore on that list because
you said Panthers?
I said Carolina, yeah. Lamar Jackson hasn't signed. So like those two teams are also kind of looking, although they're trying to sign their guys.
Commanders.
You got Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Jimmy G, and it looks like, although he's not a free agent, Tannehill seems to be like right up there with somebody that people are willing to make moves for.
Yeah.
Never mind even like Baker Mayfield, who's, that'll come later. Jameis Winston, that'll come later, that kind of stuff. But
do you think Sam Darnold's stock rose a little bit?
Not enough. Yeah. Not much. Like, what are you going to, like, nobody's going to invest in him as a starter. That's for sure.
No, probably not.
You know,
although there's some names out there. Sam Howell.
Well, so here's the thing.
Ritter. I don't know.
To your point, there's like 8 teams that are looking for a quarterback, and there's only like 4 to fill the spot. So you got to have somebody.
And then there's Stroud and Young will probably start right away with their team.
Well, there's that. You got the draft picks. There's a bunch of teams. You know what could be interesting? You bring up Sam Darnold. It just popped in my head because I don't think this team is happy with their backup anymore. Miami might be a good fit for him. Go to Miami, sit there, work with a nice offensive mind, what everybody believes is an offensive mind. I know they're not too happy with Teddy Two Gloves, so
Oh my God, what a nightmare
shame.
that was.
Yeah. So to have a backup, a strong backup for Tua might be interesting for him, but he's kind of relegated. Aaron Rodgers came out of his, I don't know, what is that? A dark room, 4-day dark retreat. I know everybody in the Jets kingdom wants Aaron Rodgers. I don't get it. Have you not been paying attention? Not to the player on the field. We know who the player on the field is, but everything else that comes with it. Like, why would you want to bring in that chaos? A guy who, oh, by the way, every year talks about retiring. So you want another guy who's only here for a year or less, or 2 years or less? I don't get that whole thing. What I loved was that once Derek Carr got cut by the Raiders, his first visit was with the Jets. That makes me happy.
Oh, after he got cut.
Once he got cut.
Yeah, he visited the Saints.
Visit.
Yeah.
Official visit. Yeah.
Well, listen, I got to be honest with you, bro. If I'm the Jets, I don't wait too long here.
I know. I hear all these people saying you got to wait to see what happens with Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, fuck you. Get right on this Derek Carr thing, because if you wait, you might get neither.
You might get Tannehill.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I don't think that's as bad a choice as some other people might think, but it's certainly not as good as Derek Carr.
I don't love it. Especially with Derrick Henry, I don't love it at all.
Yeah, and I think that would end up having to be a trade, at least of some sorts.
It won't cost you a ton because I think
not much, but see if they give up something. And with Derek Carr, you just sign him. And I'm just saying, man, if you can
and you got more years with Carr, like you just know you got.
That's what I'm talking about. And you get the issue off the books, and you can now move forward with your draft and free agency around what you know you have.
No doubt.
Rodgers
isn't going to make it easy for anybody. That's what he is.
No. And Green Bay isn't going to just give him away for nothing.
Correct.
So, like, I don't see what the hesitation here is. If there's hesitation, this is just media talk. So I don't listen to any of these fucks anymore. But don't wait. If you have and I don't think they would. I don't think Joe Douglas would. If Derek Carr let them know, hey, let's get this done, I think he would. I don't think he'd say, hey, man, I got to wait for Aaron Rodgers. I think that would be really stupid, because then you can end up, first of all, that would put a bad taste in Derek Carr's mouth. And then he says, you know what, screw you. I don't want to do this at all. I'll go somewhere else.
Right.
I'll go to Carolina with Frank Reich instead of being here. Although you got better weapons here, and it's New York. And I do agree. I agree with what either Joe Douglas or Robert Saleh said to him, which is, if you could do it here, if you could bring a championship to New York and to the Jets, you're a Hall of Famer. Period. It's over. You're going to the Hall of Fame.
There's a statue going up.
Yeah, it's epic. It's legendary. So, especially with the Jets being that nobody could do it since Broadway Joe. So I think there's some attraction to that. And we also know that Derek Carr, unlike Aaron Rodgers, can handle the media pressure. Because if you remember, not this past season, but last year with the Gruden and the car wreck that killed somebody and all the shit, it was Derek Carr that held everything together. New coach, Besanich or whatever. All that went on that year, it was Derek Carr that held that ship together and had a really good season on top of it. So Bisaccia, there you go.
Sounds like you're making Italian pastries better.
Yeah, it does. So I just think this is interesting, and I think teams got to be really, really careful about saying, I want to wait for this guy, I want to wait for that guy, and it's usually the fans that are saying that. The other interesting thing on the non-free agent side of that is, as I mentioned, Lamar Jackson has not signed. They're probably going to tag him. He's kind of made it known, if you tag me, I'm not playing. It's a contract or trade me, which that for us and what we do here is fascinating as shit. And
Yes,
will give us something to talk about every week unless they get it done. My guess is Baltimore finds a way to get this done. I can't imagine they would.
Well, there's a lot. I think there's a lot of gray over there because a lot of guys think he quit on him.
I definitely think there's that. But in the end,
and Harbaugh is a football guy. Like, there's
for sure. No, I don't think they like that. Believe me, I don't think they like that. But if you don't have him, what do you got?
I was gonna say, like to your point 10 minutes ago, Slim Pickens.
I think if this was next year, it'd be different. They might say, you know, hey, Chicago, you have the number 1 pick. Do you want to do a swap? Do you want to take Lamar? We'll take the number 1 pick plus something else or something like that and get a Caleb Williams or something like that. I could see it, but I don't know.
I keep seeing a trade proposal to the Lions. If I'm the Lions, no thanks.
For what? For Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, trade Goff.
Really?
Yeah,
I haven't heard that one at all. That's
trade
fascinating.
Goff, trade like one of your picks this year and like a second round next year. I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't do it. You're set up for a different team. You're not set up for that kind of team.
Nope.
See, Chicago makes a little bit more sense because you just had, for the last year and a half, I guess you could say, you've had a Lamar Jackson-like quarterback that makes a little more sense. Even Atlanta makes a little sense between having Mariota and the kid out of Cincinnati. Yeah, Ritter. Makes a little sense to pull that off if you can. But I just don't know, because then what are you stuck with? Pro Bowler. What the hell's his name? Who was their quarterback at the end of last season?
Oh, Tyler Huntley.
The Pro Bowler, Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
Fascinating one. Unbelievable. So, and then Daniel Jones asking for $45 million.
Oof.
Can you pay him that much?
No. I'm a fan. No, you can't pay him that much.
$45 million, right?
No.
So what do you say? Hey, go test the markets and see what you can get.
But Giants have the same problem too, though.
This is always the problem.
I know.
They don't grow them on trees.
It's what would be the most you give him? 39?
I don't know that you could even go that high, man.
I think it's gonna take that though, dude.
Dude, do you know that Deshaun Watson is going to be 26% of the Cleveland Browns, because it's all guaranteed money. 26% of the salary cap. So that's why I'm saying, like, you're going to do that with Daniel Jones?
Wow. Jesus.
You're going to give him almost $40 million?
You know, the one thing that we were bragging about all year with Dable, he just might be so confident in what he does with quarterbacks that he'll go, listen, I'll go get a guy and then we'll start building.
Do you take a Jimmy G?
Yeah, like a 2-year stopgap,
and then you
draft a guy, and then you think like,
here's the problem.
Baker's more athletic, so maybe maybe.
And maybe a little more sturdy. I don't know. Here's the problem that Daniel Jones has that's different than, say, Lamar Jackson, even Jimmy G, Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, all these guys. I don't know that the market is too big for him. I don't know that too many teams, if he were to hit the market, would be like, let's make a move for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, because the one thing you don't want to do is bid against yourself.
Absolutely.
Right. So, like,
plus, if you're being smart about it, we're all seeing, like, hey, obviously it was Brian Dable that made a difference with Daniel Jones. Best I can tell, Brian Dable isn't coming in the deal for Daniel Jones. Like, you're going to have to work with him with your guy. So that's risky, man. The guy's had 3 years of mediocre to bad and 1 year of good, and you're just going to bank all of it on him at 45 million a year. I don't know that you can do that. So I don't know that the market for Daniel Jones is as much as he might think or he might hope. Whereas for the other guys, I think it's big. I think there's 5-6 teams that might be bidding for Derek Carr.
I feel like there's going to be a crazy trade. I feel like there's going to be something out of left field, like Lamar Jackson to the Giants or something like weird, like something.
I could see something that we haven't even been hearing.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have in front of you like the top 10 picks or something like that? Can you pull that up real quick?
Yeah. Yep.
And then I hate Nick Wright, but he made a trade proposition that wasn't the worst idea I ever heard. And while you're looking that up, I'll just throw it out there. He says to send Lamar Jackson to the Chicago Bears for Justin Fields and the number 1 pick. If you're Chicago, you do that?
No.
If you're Chicago, you don't do that?
I don't think so.
Ugh.
So Chicago gets Lamar Jackson and they give up their pick and Fields.
They gave up the number 1 pick in Fields.
No. I think you got young Lamar Jackson right now. Great athlete.
I think they know that Justin Fields stinks.
but Lamar hasn't been healthy the last 2 years.
This is
He's
true.
away-
This is also problematic in this whole debate.
Yeah, dude, I wouldn't do that.
Guy hasn't finished 2 seasons in a row, and not just 1 or 2 games.
And,
like
and,
5, 6
now you
games.
question how much he loves football, like because he wants his money so bad. I'm good, dude.
It's
Nope.
fascinating. It is
thanks.
so fascinating.
All right,
Oh my God.
I got the draft order for you.
Go ahead.
Number 1, Bears.
All right, so we already put the kibosh on that trade.
Number 2, Texans.
Would you? Okay, would you trade? So Lamar Jackson to Houston for the number 2 pick. What the hell's the kid?
Davis Mills.
Davis Mills, and next year's number 1. If you're Houston. If you're Houston, do you do that? Do you pull the trigger?
If I'm Houston, maybe I do that.
If you're
maybe I
Baltimore,
do
do you
that.
do that?
No.
No? With the number 2 pick, you can get Will Levis. You can
Oh,
get
yeah,
CJ
you're right.
Stroud.
Yeah. If I'm Baltimore, I definitely do that. Yes. I was.
Okay. And if
I'm
you're
getting-
Houston,
there's so
if
many
you're-
shit getting thrown around right now.
if you're Houston, you probably do it. But not if you're Chicago.
Because I think Houston just like Houston's a mess, dude.
Who's number 3?
Cardinals. You know they're stuck with money with Kyler.
And they're stuck with Kyler. Yeah.
4
Um,
Colts.
Is that a potential
Yeah.
trade partner?
Yeah, maybe. Steichen just worked with Hurts.
That's an interesting possibility.
Yeah.
Give me 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s. Give me this year and next year's number 1 and number 2.
Well, why are your draft picks getting higher and higher, getting more draft picks?
Because you have
coming
no
up as we
player.
go?
You have no
Yeah.
player to give back to me.
I wouldn't give up. No, because you still got to sign them too, dude.
Of course, to 50
So
million a year.
I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't give up 2 1s and 2s, and I still not worry about. No.
Well, here's the thing: why you could give up 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s, because those are your most expensive drafted players.
Yeah.
They're still cheaper than most of your free agent signings, but they're your 2 most expensive.
Number
That's what it's
5.
going to take.
Number 5,
Who?
Seattle through the Broncos.
Oh,
Cocksucker.
that would be so interesting. So Geno Smith, this year's
Geno's
number 1.
another guy we didn't mention.
Hey, do they have 2 number 1 picks this year?
Seattle.
Yeah, 2 first-round picks. They got their own, and they got Denver's.
Do they have their own? You still have it. Yeah, they have their own 20. Pick 20. Yep.
2 first-round picks and like a number 2. Was that enough?
Is Pete Carroll want Lamar Jackson, 70-something years old?
You're instantly a winner, though.
I know. In that division,
Of course. To your point, this is all assuming that he's healthy. And,
dude. In that
you know,
division against the Niners and Rams defensive lines, I don't fucking. Oh,
I know.
all right. Here's what I said before: Lions at 6.
There's no. I would
Yeah,
not.
I would
if I'm
not do it.
Baltimore, I don't do
Stack
it.
your
And
team
if I'm
more-
Detroit, I don't do it.
No, because you're the tree. You stack your team more with more. Yeah, no.
You got too much of a mortgage.
7 Raiders.
And here's the other thing: in a real sense, Jared Goff is inexpensive right now. You know what I mean? I think he's only like 20 million against a cap, if that. So you could still put a lot of pieces around him right now. Like this year and next year, I think he's actually pretty cheap. If I'm not mistaken, he's pretty cheap. So why would I want to bring in a guy that I have to give 50 million to?
Yeah.
Because then I have to start releasing players that I like.
Right.
So that's a no for me with Detroit. It's a no.
7 Raiders.
7 Raiders, that's a real possibility. But see, then it becomes can Baltimore. This is where I think the list stops, unless it's Atlanta at 8 or something like that.
It is. Yeah.
Because
And it's the Panthers at 9.
I'm no longer guaranteed one of those quarterbacks.
Right.
That's the problem. Now the trade with Seattle, if Seattle gives me both of their number 1s, if I'm Baltimore, I can then package both of those and move up to number 1 with Chicago. Maybe Chicago would move back if they had 2 first-round picks. If they're happy with Justin Fields, you don't need a quarterback. We'll give you the number 5 pick and whatever. Seattle's probably worth somewhere around like 16, something like that. 16,
Who's
17. This? Seattle, their first-round pick.
20.
20. Okay. So then you get 2 first-round picks for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'll throw in a 3rd-round pick or something like that. That's about where it ends, though, because now I'm out of the guaranteed get a quarterback position for Baltimore. So that's the problem. Now they could take one of those picks. Like if they did a trade with Atlanta, they can take their number one pick, and Atlanta's number one pick, and package that to move up with Chicago. But now we're getting crazy.
You know, it's funny. The Eagles have 10, and you know, no one thought they were going to draft Hurts when they had Wentz. So like, just crazy shit happens like that, man. It's like, you know.
To me, I'm with you. If there's going to be some crazy trade, I think it probably will revolve around Lamar Jackson.
What's your Tua story?
So you didn't see this. Tua, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's working with an MMA guy or like a jiu-jitsu guy. You're not even going to believe it. You're going to think I'm bullshitting you.
That's going to help his brain?
On how to fall.
Oh, my God.
I know, right? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing on how to fall and not get hurt. So my feeling is like on takedowns, if you're an MMA guy on takedowns, you have to learn to fall in a way where your head, boom, doesn't snap back and hit the ground. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
This is like so sad.
I really like this kid at Alabama too. He's turned into like a fucking. He's turning into Gumby for Christ's sake.
Dude, I'm telling you, 3 years ago it was tank for Tua. Now it's like learn how to fall. I swear on my life, learn how to fall.
What team brought in a guy to teach quarterbacks
how to slide? Remember who was that? Was it the Eagles with Wentz?
Oh, maybe it was. Holy shit.
It might have been the Eagles with Wentz because he was taking all those hits and stuff. Jeez Louise. It's just bananas, man. It's just bananas. Anyway, we can move on. Did you happen to watch NBA All-Star Weekend?
So I was not around all weekend, so I recorded it. So I give them credit in some way where they're desperate for new juice because what they got going on isn't working, but I don't think this is now either because the Rising Star mini tournament was very odd. We're just like getting guys to loosen up and then sit and then play again, and you don't want that. The skills competition where you're bringing in 3 guys, the Antetokounmpo brothers, one's in the G League, like it's a clusterfuck of like because nobody wants to do it. That didn't really hit home. Mac McClung, thank God, saved the dunk contest. He was fantastic,
but nobody watched live.
But nobody watched. Yeah,
I watched the problem.
Like
so this is the problem with the dunk contest. Even is social media. The shit gets posted seconds, like literally seconds after it happens. Somebody posts it, and it's usually one of these ESPN guys or Fox Sports guys or whoever it is. They post it right away. And it's like, why do I got to watch this bullshit? I'll just watch it on my phone or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Wait till you hear the ratings. Wait till I tell you the ratings.
I got one more for you. And the game itself,
dude. When you got a coach that's coaching the game that says this is the worst basketball game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the Denver coach?
Yep. Mr. Malone.
This is the worst basketball game I've ever seen. That's problematic. They never used to play like hardcore defense. But it would be like a pickup game. Like when you go down to the park and play a pickup game, nobody's playing like, Duke Blue Devils smack the floor defense here, okay? Right. But you're playing some defense. Like you're kind of trying. This is not even that, dude. It's embarrassing and it's like it's awful. It's awful and it's just painful to watch. It's not interesting at all. There's nothing interesting about it. It's barely interesting watching regular season games when they don't play that good a defense then. Like now you're going to play no defense and want me to watch?
Now, did you watch any of it or you're just hearing stuff from...
Not a pinch.
So, dude,
I saw Mac McClung's highlights. That's about it.
They had guys in the game pulling up from half court.
It's ridiculous, dude. Why? What is that interesting to anybody? Obviously not. Here's what I got to tell you. The ratings were down 30%. 30 from last year, which were already epically low. Yeah. This was the lowest rated All-Star game in the history of the All-Star game. It got a 4.5 share.
Wow.
Which means under 5 million people were watching. And as you're listening, if you're wondering like, well, what's normal? The Super Bowl had 113 million people tune in. 115 when Rihanna was playing. You got 4.5 million people to watch the All-Star game, dude. You get higher ratings with like Cincinnati versus Akron college football game.
On like Maction on a Wednesday.
See, I'm not kidding. Like you'll get higher ratings with that game than you will with the All-Star game.
I got a serious question.
Oh,
At what point do we nick the All-Star games?
I think you have to.
I mean,
it gets
this is-
even
Football's
even
playing
worse.
flag football.
Well, that I didn't hate some of what they did, but
Dude,
it was all
you're-
unwatchable.
You're risking Achilles, knees, dude. You're still running around.
It's awful. It's a terrible idea. Just you know what they should do? You're a Pro Bowler, you get your award, and they don't fucking do anything
You
with
get
it.
an award. You
That's
get
what
your,
the
you get
NFL
your bonus check, and then we just put it on your fucking stat line. That's it.
The NBA Commissioner Silver is looking into the possibility of a mid-season tournament, and the tournament would include teams that aren't even in the league. Like, how gimmicky are you getting? And even if that were a good thing, which it's not, but even if it was a good thing, it's such a gimmick. It's a one-off situation. Like, what do you get from that?
That makes no
Your
sense.
league is still boring as shit. That's your problem is that load management causes people to lose interest. Your players, it's nothing but a 3-point contest anymore. Like every game is a 3-point contest, and that's boring as shit to watch, dude. I can do that. So if I can do it, I'm not an athlete anymore. Nobody wants to watch me shoot threes. There's no athleticism in the game. And there's not. It's not fair. There's not as much. This is why a guy like Ja Morant is becoming the most, most watched player in the league because he still has that. He still plays on that above the rim kind of level. What made the league so interesting for so long was that guys were doing things that we can't do, that the regular guy can't do. And when I see people shoot, it's just like, well, lots of people can shoot. It's just not impressive to me. Like, it's not fun to watch because I'm not like, holy shit, I can't do that. I always say the thing about watching golf on TV is that you can't really appreciate it until you've played golf.
Right.
And then you watch golf on TV and you're like, oh my God, these guys are magicians. They're not just good, but they're fucking magicians. Okay. The problem with the NBA is everything that's done now is kind of like, you feel like you can do it too. If I had enough practice, I could do it too. Now, maybe I'm not tall enough, but neither is Steph. And it's like, well, I can kind of do. It's just not impressive enough. It's not wow enough. And so many guys can do the same thing. Now you got guys that are 7 feet tall that can do the same thing. Nicole, whatever the hell his name is, Jokic.
Yeah. The Joker.
Like, yeah, he's shooting threes. It's like, well, if centers are now shooting threes, how hard is it? It seems like everybody can do it. There's no special about the NBA anymore. Playoffs are different. Playoffs, you see an intensity pickup, and there's more value in taking it to the rim, getting to the free throw line, dominating inside. It's just different. But the regular season, it's brutal. And I don't know how you fix that because that's analytics. Analytics say shoot the three. It's a higher value shot. Good luck. And I think the NBA is in some trouble.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I will say, I'll add to the LeBron hate because that's what we usually do. And this doesn't take away from his greatness as an all-time player, but it takes away from his legacy as a special player. When Magic and Bird came into the league, they elevated the league. The ratings went up. People were more interested. When Michael Jordan came into the league, it elevated the league. So even more people were interested. Women were watching because they were like, we're watching something we've never seen before. When Kobe came into the league and kind of took the torch from Michael Jordan, it elevated the league. He was loved. People love watching Kobe. Like, it just became a thing when you take a shot in a pickup game. Kobe, you know what I mean? LeBron has been passed the torch, and the ratings have never been worse.
Right.
We could say it's not his fault.
He's a douchebag.
You alienate half the population by
Yeah.
what you say. This is what you get. He has shrunk the league. He has shrunk interest in the NBA. And while it still does get great ratings across the globe, it gets great ratings in China and all that kind of stuff. You see them suck up to the Chinese government, which then makes even more Americans pissed off. So
Yeah.
there are some problems that the NBA is going to have to deal with. And I don't know how they fix that or if they do. So it's fascinating because if you go back to the pre-Bird Magic era, the NBA didn't even have live games on television. they were replaying games after the 11 o'clock news at night. That's how low they had sunk.
Wow.
That's how low they had sunk. And I don't, not that I'm saying it's going to get to that, but they're going to have some problem. They're becoming like a niche sport where it's just a certain segment of the population likes them and they just don't attract anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I think there's some trouble there. Anyway, I didn't watch it and I don't feel like I missed much.
Nope.
99 in the books, my man. Last chance here. And there better be a Jet at the top of this list or I'm going to be pissed.
Mark Gastineau was number 7. Sorry, sir. I got six names for you.
Oh my God.
We need to play taps. This is my last one.
Good Lord.
Number 6. Super Bowl champion, 1999 Defensive Player of the Year. And again, you could guess whenever you like to, sir.
Okay.
1999 Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 1990s and 2000 All-Decade Team, ex-Buccaneer and Raider Hall of Fame defensive tackle.
Warren Sapp?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Number 5. 2006 Defensive Player of the Year, 2007 Walter Payton Man of the Year, 3-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2000s All-Decade Team. Oh, I guess this counts as a Jet. Ex-Dolphin and Jet Hall of Fame defensive end.
Jason Taylor?
Yep.
You put him ahead of Gastineau? Oh my God.
Number 4.
And I don't remember Joe Klecko on the list when you hit 76 or something like that, whatever the hell he is.
73.
Going into the Hall of Fame, by the way.
Yeah, congratulations.
Number 4.
3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2017 Walter Payton Man of the Year, 5-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time sack leader, 2010 All-Decade, future Hall of Famer, just retired a couple weeks ago.
What team?
Ex-Texan and Cardinal defensive end.
JJ Watt?
Yes, sir.
All right.
This one's a no-brainer.
I'm doing good today.
Number 3, 4-time All-Star, 2-time Major League Baseball first team, 2017 Rookie of the Year, 3-time Silver Slugger, 2-time home run champ, single season AL home run king, and 2022 MVP Yankees outfielder
Aaron Judge.
Number 2, Super Bowl champ, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2014 Defensive Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, 2010 All-Decade, future Hall of Fame Rams defensive tackle.
Oh, Aaron Donald.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God, I'm almost undefeated here. Here we go.
Number 1. This goes without saying.
Mark Gastineau.
4-time Stanley Cup champion, 9-time Hart Trophy, 5-time Lady Byng, 2-time Conn Smythe, all-time NHL leader in points, ex-Oiler, King, Ranger, center, nicknamed the Great One.
I'm only okay with this because I got them all right. Wayne Gretzky.
Yes, sir.
The great Gretzky. Hot daughter, by the way.
Hot wife, too.
Well, yeah.
Well, years ago, maybe not anymore.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Hey, before I get to my thing, just a reminder, you can catch us on Instagram at Bump and Run Podcast, on Facebook at Bump and Run Sports Podcast, and you can always watch the video of the podcast on YouTube at B&R Clips. Scotty, we're going to play The Price is Right.
Wow.
So this item recently went to auction. Now, before you start saying like millions or something like that, it's not the only one. It's just unique. Factory sealed first generation iPhone. So that means it's still in a box. It's still in a plastic, unopened, first generation. But it's not the only one in creation. It's not the only one left in the world like that. So don't like, oh, like $4 million. Went up for auction. How much do you think it sold for? First generation, sealed in the plastic, in the box, first generation iPhone. How much do you think it goes for? If you come within $5,000, which is a clue, by the way, if you come within $5,000, you win a new car.
75,000.
Oh, you just missed. Great friggin' guess, though. $63,000.
Wow.
Very good guess.
Wow.
Very good guess.
Thank
$63,000 for a factory sealed in the box, in the plastic, first
Jeez.
generation iPhone. Don't even think it would work if you try to plug it in right now, but this is collectibles. People love their collectibles thing they can hold on and say, "Hey, I got this from history." I guess it's kind of neat if you got 63,000
You got
just to throw
you got
around.
fuck you money, right? Like
Yeah, So excellent. Another one in a book, my man. Great job. Appreciate
bud.
it. Listen, over the next few weeks, we may be in and out. We'll see how it goes with what's going on in the news. This is one of the slower times of the year. All-Star game just happened. There's no baseball yet. Golf is just starting to heat up. We had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching the Waste Management Phoenix Open, but slower time of the year. So we'll see week to week how we do. But, if there's hot news, if there's something going on, we'll certainly be on here. So
yes, sir.
for Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Later.
All right,
buddy boy. That was good.
sounds good.
Once we got cooking here, fucking with this computer thing.
Oh my God, yeah, you're fine now. Jeez, it was
I
fine
know.
after that. But I got to get these guys some dinner, and then I'll get this done.
All right, brother. Sounds good. Thanks.
Cool, man. Talk to you later.
Later.